I trained at B-Team Jiu Jitsu, the second best Jiu Jitsu gym in the world, and I ended up rolling with one of their best black belts. But first, I rolled with JB, a college wrestler and Jiu Jitsu brown belt. We tie up. I realize that standing with the wrestler isn't the move, so I sit to guard. I try entering into a leg lock, but he comes around and starts going into leg drag. I push him away, but he's able to get past my arms. He grabs my wrist and switches to an arm triangle. I strain my arm out in an attempt to slip it, going full starfish mode. And I'm even able to get on top, but he has a tight bicep deep grip. I feel like I can still breathe, but my neck starts snapping like crazy, so I tap. Let's see if I can do better in my next roll. This roll is with Frankie, one of the blue belts from B-Team. I start on bottom, and as I try entering into a leg lock, he grabs a heel hook. If he can connect his hands here, the heel hook will be fully locked on, and I'll have to tap. So I control his arm as I try slipping my heel free. Luckily, I'm able to slip it, and I throw my leg over to counter. But he counters my counter by entering into another leg lock. I turn away and hide my heel, and he decides to stand up. I pull him on top of me and grab a pinch headlock. Then I switch to the shoulder crunch. I put my leg over his back to break his posture, and as he comes up, I throw up a triangle. I push his hand inside, grab his head, and cut an angle to lock it up. He brings his arm around to defend the choke, but I relock my legs and push down on his head to get the tap. I actually made a full guide on the shoulder crunch, which you can get in the link in the description. I go to reverse Salahiva. I bring his weight forward and invert under him. When on bottom, you always want to look for opportunities to off-balance your opponent, because it makes it easier to find sweeps and submissions. I bring his leg across and come up into a leg drag. He pushes me away and starts coming up. I switch to a single leg, and he tries getting under me. In the background, you can see the shredded black belt I'll soon be rolling with. Just kidding. That's Hyson Rita. But after this, I'll be rolling with Ethan Krellenston, an equally shredded black belt. I lock up a body lock and start getting pretty close to getting past his legs. But he activates prison rules. I start getting smothered, so I back out.
Nope.
I pull guard again. I enter into his legs. As he falls back, I go for a cheeky triangle attempt. I come up into another body lock. I get past his hook, and he comes up to his knees. He tries grabbing out to escape, but I follow him. I grab his arm to break his base, and as he tries coming up, I put in a hook. I put in my second hook, then lock up a body triangle. I use a cross wrist grip to trap his arm, and I dig my arm under his neck to hit a one-armed rear naked choke. It's time for my roll with Ethan Krellenston, a shredded black belt from B-Team. I grab a body lock and shuffle onto my feet. This was my chance to take Ethan down. All my training had prepared me for this moment. Ethan passes around my legs, and as I try coming up, he takes my back. I start fighting his hands, so he can't get under my chin. But he switches to an armbar. He extends out my arm and gets the tap. Ethan tries going for a body lock, but I counter with a barfly sweep. Looking back, I really should have tried going for a guillotine here. I grab a shoulder crunch, and Ethan starts pummeling past my guard. Ethan underhooks my leg, grabs my head, and chucks it to get past my guard. He gets an underhook and goes to mount. And I get Americana'd. Ethan says enough of the fundamental stuff and brings his knee across to look for a leg lock. He grabs a toe hold, and as I turn with the pressure, I end up in a reap. This is a pretty bad spot to be in. I extend my leg to avoid the heel hook, so Ethan starts putting on some sideways knee bar pressure. I grab his leg to relieve the pressure, but he ends up coming up and around and hits a regular knee bar. We reset. I try elevating Ethan once again, but he's able to go to the body lock. I'm able to hit a barfly sweep, but he doesn't stay down and comes up with an underhook. I try hitting an Uchimata, but he drives forward. I don't want to repeat what happened before, so I sit down, but Ethan jumps over the top. Luckily, I'm able to get my feet inside and escape. When retaining guard, you always want to get your feet in front of your partner, because this gives you more power to push them away. Ethan hits the easiest pass I've ever seen.
That was easy.
He transitions to mount. When I'm escaping mount, I like to bridge when the person on top moves. So, as Ethan grabs a crossface, I bridge, but he hip switches, and is able to use that crossface to pressure pass again. He pulls my elbow up and goes back to mount. He starts bringing my arm up to go for an arm triangle. So I bridge and get my arm free. Now I have both hands on his hips. He tries getting an underhook, so I bridge and start going for another escape. But those hips are too powerful. I feel all his weight going to my right side, so I try rolling him over. But he's able to get his hips higher than mine, and things start looking precarious. Ethan transitions to mount, this time with double unders. He grabs my wrist and uses an Americana to get the tap. He drops down into a body lock. I tried hitting a butterfly sweep, but he's able to keep his base. He climbs over my knee and hip switches to get past my legs. He quickly transitions to mount, walks my arm up, and I can tell he's looking for an arm triangle. However, while I know what he's going for, I don't know how to stop him. And he's able to pummel to knee on belly and get the tap. I grab a body lock, but Ethan starts bringing his hips forward, and my arm ends up getting trapped. Ethan brings his knee to the side, and I end up in a pretty compromised position. The pass seems inevitable at this point. So as he passes my guard, I turtle, and he starts looking for my back. I grab a 2-on-1 and start trying to bring his arm around my head and turn away, but his body triangle stops me from spinning, and I end up in a very unfortunate belly down position. And he's able to grab a Kimura to get the tap. I try coming forward with a body lock, but Ethan is having none of that. He smashes my knee down and grabs my hips. He starts climbing up to mount, a position I'm way too familiar with at this point. Time was running out, and at this point my goal was just not to get subbed. I start doing my bridging, but instead of holding on to mount, Ethan keeps my legs smashed together. Ethan starts climbing back up to mount, and as he does, I bridge. But Ethan doesn't stop putting on that passing pressure. He climbs up to mount, then high mount. Time was running out, but Ethan was getting close to the sub. He ends up going for a triangle armbar just as the round ends. If you guys enjoyed, please subscribe. I'm trying to hit 50k by the end of the year. And if you want to learn how I sweep and submit with the shoulder crunch, go to the link down below and I'll email you my guide.